I had a little bit of money. We stayed in a hotel for 2 nights. Of course, we couldn't afford to stay there for longer. And from there, we went down to DHCD to get emergency assistance, to get shelter. And that process was actually pretty quick. Took like a day, and they found us somewhere to go. And they put us out in Holyoke.
That's the 319 Main Street? Yeah.
Now, my first thought was, okay, now I'm in Holyoke. I'm away from all of my family. I'm away from anyone that can help me. I go to school in Springfield. My daughters go to school in Springfield.
Sure.
And I was like, well, this is the first battle. It's going to be transportation, getting back and forth. And from there, just streamed so many problems. When we got in the shelter, I was told we were going to live on the 4th floor. So here I am, 9 months pregnant. I'm going to have to walk up and down the stairs every time I enter. We have to ring the doorbell to come inside, like children. You have to wait until somebody answers the door.
Yeah.
The kitchen's on the 1st floor. And for my household of 3 at the time, because I was pregnant, we had a dorm refrigerator. Like the mini fridge that you guys usually have in your staff offices. That's what fits me and my kids' food, all of it.
Right. That must be a tight squeeze.
It's a very tight squeeze. So otherwise than that, we have 1 cabinet space, and that's where all of our food goes.
Yeah. And you've been there since April.
So
how quickly were you put in touch with the housing authorities?
I would say I reached out to the housing authorities the same week.
Of the fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
I reached out to the housing authorities. I reached out to Wayfinders, Red Cross, just, you know, everywhere that people say they're supposed to help fire victims. I reached out to those people.
Yeah.
And I received no help. Even like my neighbors, the people that lived in here with me, they received no help either. And they were basically just put out on the street.
Yeah.
Just like I was.
And so the Red Cross gave you a small voucher.
Yes.
And you guys were able to find short-term housing with that?
Yep. They gave me a voucher. And what I did with that was I used it for my storage unit. And I used it for the 2 nights that we stayed at the hotel.
Right.
And from there, we also had to buy every little thing that you need in your house. We had to get toothbrushes, toothpaste. And that's what we used that on, and that was actually really helpful. But when I went back to Red Cross to ask them, you know, if they had any direction for me to go, if they could help me find housing or anything of that sort, they told me that they couldn't help me at all. That I had to just stay where I was at and figure it out myself.
Okay. And they had put you in touch with some housing authorities. What did they tell you about being able to find housing? How long was that going to take?
They did not give me a set amount of time, but they told me that it would be very quick. Like,
and you were on the emergency list.
Yeah, I didn't believe that we would start the school year and things of that sort and still be in a shelter.
Sure.
And it hasn't been easy. Like, since we got to the shelter, my daughter has had extreme issues with her emotions. Like, we've had to get her a therapist. My oldest daughter, my 6-year-old.
That's Queen, or?
Yeah, my daughter Queen. She's had to have a therapist because in the shelter that we live at, we all sleep in one room. So me and my 3 girls, we're all in one room. There's a bunk bed and a crib, and that's where we sleep at. There's mice. Like, we found the dead mouse in our room before. Like, we've had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not easy for the children. It's not easy for me. And it just seems like I work, you know, I go to school, and I'm trying to help myself the best that I can. But it seems like nobody else is trying to help me because I'm trying to help myself a little bit. Right. And I feel like if I didn't do anything, that there will be so much more help for me. And I think that that's not fair.
Yeah. So there is an opportunity in Chicopee that you recently learned about, is there?
Yeah. So there's this apartment at Chicopee Housing Authority that they have just contacted us about, which I'm very ecstatic about, but I am disappointed in how I had to get that news. I've been waiting for months for Chicopee Housing Authority to call me. I've called them multiple times. I've left voicemails. I've never received anything back. So what I did was I contacted the state representative, Carlos Rodriguez, and the woman in his office, she contacted them, and what do you know, they have an apartment available.
Within
and they sent
how
me
long?
out a letter that same day saying that they have an apartment. when I had just called this place and they told me they didn't have any vacancies available.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm very disappointed that I have to reach up that high or try to find other people when it's just your job. That's your job, to provide housing, emergency housing to people, and you're not doing that. So it's just very disappointing, just all around.
And again, this is 31 Daytona Street, where there was a fire in April, and we're talking to Naya Auston. We thank you for your story, Naya, and we wish you the best luck in finding housing in the near future.